Well, hello friends. I hope you're having a great day today. I hope you believe in God to do great things in your life all day today. This is the day the Lord has made, so we might as well go ahead and rejoice and be glad in it because we know that everything He does, He's going to do it well. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Take 5. This week we are talking about the danger of distractions. Distractions are the little things in life, the minor things in life that get our focus off of the major things in life. And then those minor things become major things when we set our attention on them instead of on God and our purpose. Not every distraction is sin. We have learned that. But it can be. And I'll go ahead and say this. Even if it's not sin, if it takes you off of your focus and off of your path and off of your course with God, then it becomes sin unto you. You know, the Bible says if a man knows to do good and he doesn't do it, then it's sin unto him. So even if it's not necessarily been named as sin, if it gets us off course with God, then it becomes as sin to us. Now, we've talked about some things that distract us. We talked about the pressures of life, how that can distract us from the presence of God. We talked about those determined distractions, those things and people that the devil uses that's constantly coming around trying to get us off course. And we talked about the storms of life, how we should never get our focus off of Jesus. He brought us into this thing. He'll get us through this thing, but we've got to keep our focus on Him. Today, I want to talk about the distractions of sin. Now, sin is one of those things. That's how it starts. It starts with a distraction, something to try to divert our attention off of God and off of the life that we're striving to live that models Christ. That's how it starts. As a matter of fact, James tells us this, chapter 1, 13 through 15. He says, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does God Himself tempt anyone with sin." God just doesn't do that. But here's how it starts. A man is tempted when he is first drawn away by his own desire and enticed. Now that's how sin starts. It starts by trying to get your attention. You're focused on God, going down the road following God, and sin starts over on the side by saying, yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo, calling your attention, trying to get you to look at it. And then if sin can get you to look at it, then it will entice you by the desire that you have for it. And we know that desire is in all people to sin. Verse 15, in fact, says, "Then when we desire that we're enticed by, desire conceives, it gives birth to the sin." When we desire it and pursue it, it gives birth to the sin. And then sin, when it's full grown, brings forth death. And that whole cycle that ended up in death started by a drawing away. It started by something distracting us and getting our focus off of God and on to sin. If you think about Samson just for a little bit, the attraction of sin is what kept pulling on Samson because he kept being distracted and following it until it finally ruined him. The greatest man, the strongest man that was ever mentioned in the Scriptures itself, sin, the distraction of that, kept alluring him and enticing him and grabbing at his attention, and he kept being distracted by it until it finally ruined him. We've got to be more diligent in setting our affection on things above instead of setting our affection on the things that Satan is using to distract us. The writer of Hebrews actually said that we must not let any sin, whatever it is, divide our attention. When our attention is divided, that means we've distracted, and that reminds us of where we read from 1 Corinthians 7:35, where it talked about having an undivided heart. It was from the Passion Translation, and it said we must have undistracted devotion in order to serve the Lord with an undivided heart. That's what a distraction does. It divides our heart. It divides our attention. It divides our allegiance. It divides our affection between two things, and we cannot have that. We must love God or we must love sin. God tells us that over and over in His Word. He would rather us be all the way in or all the way out, but He doesn't want us to be lukewarm. He doesn't want us to have a divided heart. And so the writer of Hebrews says that we can't let anything divide our attention or distract us. Hebrews 12:1, seeing that we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, that trips us up, that hangs us up, that gets us off course, and run with patience the race that is set before us. You cannot run a committed race. You cannot run a race with patience if you are doing like my wife says I drive, trying to run on the road for God while you're distracted, looking off out into the world. You just can't do it. That same verse from the NIV says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance. That same verse in the Contemporary English Version says, let us get rid of everything that slows us down, especially the sin that just won't let go, and we must be determined to run the race that is ahead of us. Regardless of what translation you read it in, I kept hearing the same words over and over. Let us throw off. Let us remove. Let us get rid of everything that would distract us. That word that word beset. I'll get it right in just a minute. The word beset that was used in the King James Version is a word that refers to things that circle around like a racetrack. And these are sins that just keep coming around and keep coming up because the devil knows they get our attention. And when he gets our attention, he distracts us and gets us off course with God. And we will not run a persevering, pure, patient race if we are distracted by those things. The good news about all of this is that we can throw these things off. In every translation we read, He told us to throw off, get rid of, throw down, put aside, do away with those things that are distracting us. So it is within us. We have the ability to throw those things aside, and we do it by keeping our focus on Jesus. Chapter 12, verse 1 said, get rid of those things that distract us and beset us. And then verse 2 said, looking away from all that will distract and putting our focus on Jesus, who is the author and the perfecter of our faith. Now that's how we do it, friend. We look away from everything that distracts, from everything that would catch our attention, and we set our focus on Christ. And that's how we endure when sin is trying to distract us. Well, I got to get out of here today. It's been great being with you. I look forward to being with you tomorrow on Friday's edition of Take 5. Until then, God bless you. Have a great day. Hey, friend, look away from sin and set your eyes on Jesus. You've got a race to run, but if you'll keep your focus on Him, He'll keep you every step of the way.